Jamila is taking Calculus for Management, a class in which 4 tests are given. To get an A, she must average at least 90 on the 4 tests. She got scores of 89, 93, and 80 on the first 3 tests. Now, what is the lowest grade on the 4th test that Jamila could score to earn an A in the class? So let's start by looking at the problem and pulling out some key words and phrases that tell us what we need to be doing in this problem, how to approach it, how to set it up. So the first word that pops out to me is the word average. And we're looking for the average. And there's 4 tests. So the average of 4 tests. Now to find the average of 4 numbers, we know we have to add them up and then divide by 4. The next really important phrase here is the actual question. So let me underline that in red. What is the lowest grade on the 4th test that Jamila could score to earn an A in the class? So that's what we're looking for. That's the unknown here. Now there's a number of different ways we could solve this problem, but this is an algebra class, so let's use algebra. The first step in any word problem, if we're using algebra, is to define our variables. All right, we're going to use a symbol. I'm going to use X because that's the standard symbol we use in algebra. So the first step is to define our variable or write down explicitly what the letter X will represent. And that's going to be the unknown number that we're looking for. So that's going to be the score on the 4th test. Okay, so X is the score on the 4th test. That's what we're looking for. So now, going back to the word average, let me just write this down. Average of 4 numbers. To do this, we must first add them up, and then second, divide by 4. And that's going to equal the average. Okay, so let's apply that definition of the word average to this problem. Now, there's 3 numbers that we know of. Let me switch colors here. Let's use green is good. Okay, so we've got an 89, a 93, and an 80. So we know 3 of the 4 numbers, and the 4th number is this one right here. We're calling it X. We know it's a number, right? We just don't know what that number is. All right, so let's plug them into the definition of the word average. So take the 4 numbers and add them up. So it's an 89. Right, that's the first number, plus 93, plus 80, and plus the 4th number, which we're calling X. Again, we know it's a number, but we don't know what it is yet. Remember, a variable is a temporary placeholder in algebra. And we're going to add them up, and then we're going to divide that by 4. And that's going to be equal to the average. And we know what the average has to be in this case, in this problem. The average has to be a 90. So we could set that equal to 90. And there's our equation. So that's really the first phase of any word problem in algebra, is to take the problem in words, which in this case is a paragraph, and convert it or translate it to the language of mathematics. So take the word problem and turn it into an algebraic equation. All right, and now it's no longer a word problem. Now it's an equation to solve. We have done the hardest part, which is get the words or take the words out of the word problem. All right, so let's solve for X. First thing we could do is add up these 3 numbers, 89, 93, and 80. That shouldn't be too hard. You could take out a calculator if you want for that. So 89, 93, and 80, that should give you 262. There's still a plus x. Don't forget about that guy. Divided by 4. Is equal to 90. We want to get x by itself. We want to isolate the variable. So we got to get rid of the dividing by 4, and we got to get rid of the adding 262. So we'll do the opposite of each one of those operations. The opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. So if we multiply by 4, or it's a fraction, so you can think about that 4 over 1 either way, but the multiplying by 4 will cancel out the dividing by 4. Those two are equal and opposite. And whatever you do to one side, of course, you have to do to the other to maintain balance in the equation. If you change one side, you have to change the other side. $90 times 4, well, 9 times 4 is 36, so 90 times 4 will be 360. So let's come over here. On the left-hand side, we still have 262 plus x. And on the right-hand side, we now have 360. And again, we're just going to repeat the process. Whatever mathematical operation we want to eliminate, we do the opposite to both sides. In this case, adding 262, well, the opposite of that would be subtract. So we're going to subtract 262 from both sides of the equation. So on the left-hand side, the positive and negative 262s, they cancel, right? So that gives us x. And that was our goal, to isolate the variable x. And on the right-hand side, if we take 360 minus 262, again, you could take out a calculator for this, absolutely. We get 98. And we know what that means, x equals 98, because what I wrote in red, the first thing I wrote, x equals the score on the 4th test to get at least a 90. So we need 90 or above, so a 98 on this test will give Jamila an average of 90% over those 4 tests. So there is our answer. Let me just zoom in a little bit to free up a little bit of space here. Now remember, a word problem is a statement in words, so the solution should be a statement in words. So for the final answer, I'm going to say Jamila must score at least a 98. Must score at least a 98 on the 4th test. And what I just have written here in green, that is our final answer. It's a word problem. Again, your final answer should be in words. Now, step 1 of any word problem is always the same. Decide which symbols you're going to use. Generally, we use X or X and Y if we need 2 symbols, 2 unknowns. And the last step is to state your answer as a phrase in words. All right, that's it for this problem.